allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda is adoption or modification of the agenda. If there's no modifications, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. So moved. We've got a motion. Do we have? And we have a second.
That Whitney?
All right, if there's no discussion, please vote. The ever popular technical difficulty. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, 8.0, approval of the consent agenda, which includes workshop minutes for November 8th, regular session minutes for January 17th, bills for payment for February, supplemental pay C for February, federal impact 8 grant application, robotics travel for both Worlds and Northern Lights Regional. Good luck to them. And the personnel report. If there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, please vote. Uh, 7-0. 9.1, comments from the audience. I don't see any comments. 9.2, superintendent update.
All right, thank you, President Blunker. We have several students to recognize this evening. We're going to start with our project management warrior print group. Smithville's High School's project management class, led by Destiny Marsh. Destiny, would you please give us a wave? Thank you. Has been part of our has started a new endeavor called Warrior Print Shop. Students in this class urged Miss March to purchase a printing system that would allow custom screen printing so that they could design and create their own merchandise for the Tribe store and the high school cafe. Mrs. March received a grant from the Smithville Education Foundation to fund the purchase of the printer. The project management team has been mentored by Alicia Neff, owner of Not Too Shabby Boutique in downtown Smithville, as well as attending the Hammerspace workshop to receive advice from experts on screen printing. The team also had the opportunity to share with the Kauffman Foundation about the real world learning experiences they have been engaged in. I believe they all have left a gift for our board members. Thank you, Mrs. Whitaker, for facilitating that. They have big dreams for the future of the program. And Miss March, would you please stand and introduce any kiddos that you have with you, or kiddo?
Whitaker, he's been a big part of initiating. Thank you. He's been a huge part of just initiating and pushing even me to take the risks as well.
It's for the people at home.
In addition, I have to say it is a group of about 18 to 20. So even though Jackson could only make it tonight, it's been a team village effort. We have graphic designers learning Adobe, screen printers learning how to screen print, how to take a digital image and render it so it can't even work for apparel. And I'd say that's the rose colored glasses. But the big thing and the big piece of all this is it's taken grit and resiliency and problem solving and all of the great skills that we want to develop in our students. So that's what I have to say. And here's what Mr. Jackson Whitaker.
Okay. Well, this is a class that I wasn't really expecting to take this year. It's something that I honestly not even sure if I signed up for it.
Great endorsement.
I'm glad I got it. I would say that it's a class that I feel like kids would enjoy. It's not, I mean, you're not sitting at a desk, working on whatever. I mean, we have some kids upstairs working on making designs, working with people, making t-shirts. But we also have people that are down in the cafeteria and making the t-shirts. It's hasn't been easy at all. We've had a lot of problems, and a lot of the time it's really frustrating because we go days when we get nothing done. But every day that we got something done, we want to figure stuff out.
Awesome.
They've also been introduced to the concept of client work.
Yep.
So they've had to take on clients and figure out their needs and figure out a timeline and budget with their client and then deliver the product. So we've had some staff clients as well as
So then, right now, I feel like the rest of us feel like what's holding us back or the quality is the quality of the t-shirts. I feel like if we got better t-shirts, it would raise the quality and we get eventually charge more. So right now, Miss Marsh is working on finding a outside source that can manufacture our t-shirts at a better quality and at a good enough price that's worth it to us. For the future, I guess right now all we're doing is just stuff in the high school, and then I work with my mom obviously for these shirts. But our goal is to work in the middle school and then the younger kids, I guess, and work with their teachers down there, and also we feel like the parents of the younger kids would be more willing to buy it. We haven't had the greatest turnout with the high school kids. I mean, because we have to attract a certain amount of kids, because our biggest one, our recent one, was a Taylor Swift cheap shirt. So you get people that really like it and people that don't like it, right? So it's kind of hard to go with those kids, but we're hoping soon to be in the younger ages and hopefully those parents and stuff can.
Once you had a design concept, how much could you manufacture? How fast?
Right now we've only been manufacturing, making off of like orders. So we put out a form and then however much they order, then we make it. So we're not. Yeah. We're not.
So what's like, if I said I wanted 100 shirts, what's your turnaround time?
I mean,
Which begs the next question. How do outside groups want to partner with you? Because there's a few in my head right now. How do we go about, how would,
higher power equipment to allow for more efficient casting.
and then like, if we broke that out, cost per t-shirt, over 1,000 t-shirts, what would that be to get you that? I'm truly interested.
Well,
We'll sit down.
Make a deal.
Well,
Let's make a deal.
you know what else I was thinking of? At Convocation, and I don't know if we still do, but the groups of our schools, they all have their t-shirts and their design that they wear. So how neat would it be that that's in-house on kids?
that's where we
Yeah.
look in and allow our product to provide it to the elementary schools, to the middle school. How great it would be to showcase student designs, student designs,
Absolutely.
promote it. Keep in mind, this is also pricing promotion. They're seeing the lifespan of a product from beginning to end.
Yeah.
From beginning to end. It's just right now our feedback is becoming high school students and staff. But we're taking the feedback, growing and learning, and we hope to improve and then offer more. And the parents and students.
It's awesome.
Ms. Marsh, the list that you gave me recently, does that have the quality of equipment that you need, or is that still not all of it?
They
Okay.
constraints this case. To be able to screen print, you have to be in a controlled environment. So we have plans with first way
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which is what a lot of people question there. So that way it's, right now I'm playing home. I converted my basement to a dark. So I converted the screens and then I created the screens to all of them and they pricing the promotion. Printing, your and big stuff. But then at least you have the screens.
Very cool. Well, Miss Marsh and Jackson, will you guys please come through and shake our board members' hands, and then we will
Jackson,
get a
we're gonna
picture
ask you to
for you.
lead the way for the younger kids. So is there any family member here you would like to recognize who supported you along your journey?
Sitting right here.
Sure.
Oh, I want to see.
Right? We need to wear.
Oh, I like.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yes, they had to work with me. They invoiced me. They had, it was a good client connected project. This is real world learning at our best, you know, these
Did
Carol.
you pay her invoice on time?
Give her a tip.
bad.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Nice.
All right. All right. Entertainment. Thank you.
There you go. ABC.
Our next group of students we're going to recognize are 3 additional students who are members of the 2024 Missouri All-State Children's Choir. Would Anderson Wallace, Adeline Richardson, and Grace Middleton from Horizon Elementary please stand? And then once again, we will ask you to introduce your loved ones that came with you. But first, I wanted to share that they joined Avery Patton from Eagle Heights, who is also a member of the choir. The choir was conducted by New York City Young People's Chorus director Sophia Populus and took place at Tantera Resort at the Lake of the Ozarks. It's also known as Margarita. That may be familiar with the change. But we would like each of you guys to please share your name, anyone that you brought that loves you and cares for you. And even brothers and sisters, if they don't quite fit that mold. And then any takeaway you had from your experience would be great.
Hi, I'm Adeline Richardson, and I'm having
Very good. You can pass it to Anderson if you want. Or
hello. My name is Anderson Wallace, and I brought my father. My name is Grace Middleton, and I brought my mom, my brother.
Awesome. Great job.
do you guys have any what was any takeaways from the experience?
There were a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
A lot.
Oh, you don't have to have one.
People.
A lot of people.
Yeah, I was nervous.
I bet. I would have been.
All right, would you 3 young folks follow what Jackson did and come up and shake hands, and then we're going to take a picture of you with the Board of Education.
Did you have fun? Congratulations. Congratulations. This is their teacher, Tiffany Catterman.
We're here, Tiffany. I'm so
Great job.
sorry.
Great job.
Good job.
Please stay up. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for working so hard.
Awesome.
Can we come back up for a picture?
Yeah, please come. And Tiffany, is there anything you would want to share about them? Yeah, Randy, will you give Tiffany the microphone, please? She can share.
I didn't either. Yeah.
I just want to share these students go through an audition process and they are selected out of the entire state. And to have 3 students selected from one school is very impressive. And to have 4 students from an entire district even is very impressive. So I just want to say I'm so proud of them and thank you for recognizing them and their hard work.
Oh my gosh. You guys are so cute. Okay, ready? Yay!
The next group we would like to highlight is another group that's connected with our real world learning initiative. And this is a group of students that work with the Kaufman Foundation. As you know, Kaufman is focused not only on real world learning, they're also focused on ensuring ways they are keeping student voice at the center of their initiative. And they have developed several student agency programs. We are proud to have students who are part of this work, and we'd like to introduce 4 of our high school students this evening. And as I call your name, please stand. We have Alexis David and Andrea Burns, and Destiny Salazar and Isabella Medley. And in January, these students, we actually got to see them participate. And I think Susan was there with us, which was great. Michelle was there as well. In January, these students participated in the Get on the Bus event held at Union Station. It's the rallying piece that Kaufman does each year. They welcome participants. I think we got a couple selfies. It was great. And would you guys both introduce yourselves? Again, anyone that loves and cares for you that's here. And then what part of the student agency voice you're a part of. But before I do that, I would like to introduce Carol Noker. She is, as you guys know, our real world learning facilitator. She is also the taxi. These students to get back and forth to Kaufman. So Bella, we'll turn it over to you.
I'm Isabella Medley, and my person here today is Carol. And for Student Voice, at least at the Union Station event, I was able to interact with a lot of our business leaders that are either potential people looking to be a part of Student Voice or people that are already a part of it and came to get other people. And at the Kaufman Foundation, I get to interact with a lot of other students and hear about their real world learning at their schools. And I'm very fortunate that I got to go to Smithville, and we don't have very many problems with our real world learning. We have a great foundation for it already. So I can take our knowledge of what Smithville has and give it to other people and help improve their schools. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Destiny Salazar, and I brought my mom, my dad, and my sister, and they're all looking at me right now. But, anyways, on the Get on the Bus event, I was also part of interacting with business partners and getting to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't have expected to meet. So being able to have those connections with those people has made me very honored to be a part of this program. And also being at Kaufman Foundation, getting to meet the CEO of Kaufman and those type of things has made me realize how special it really is to be in those types of events. So being able to share that with everybody else and having I don't know how to explain it, but having these connections is really important as high schoolers. And also being able to, Bella had mentioned, being able to connect with other schools is very important since we can all share ideas from each other. So it's all been such an honor to be a part of.
Would you guys please come up and shake hands, and then we'll get a picture for you.
Mike, I'm gonna speak. So Destiny and Bella are part of the Student Voice program.
Yeah.
There are also, he mentioned Alexis David and Andrea Burns, who are also our student ambassadors. So there are two different facets, and they kind of have two different goals, I guess, for through this whole program. But I'm so proud of all of them. They've stepped outside their comfort zone, and are really pulling everyone in the district, in our district, all of the students in, and kind of helping them understand what real world learning is, and it's been a huge help to me. So I appreciate that. And again, just so proud of them for stepping out of their comfort zone and doing a really great job.
Carol, you need to get in there. I want everyone to see your kid.
No, it's good.
All right, we have another familiar face here this evening. After a series of auditions, we are excited to share that Mr. Nathan Fletcher was named to the Missouri All-State Band for his performance on the tuba. This is a very grueling process. Nathan is a senior at our high school and is joined here by Mr. Brockman. He also served as a drum major for our marching band season. It is a great example of what it means to be a warrior. So please join me in congratulating, and Nathan will let share about this process, because from the outside it's just like, oh, I made All-State Band. On the inside, I know it was much different. And please also introduce anyone that came with you this evening.
All right, so my name is Nathan Fletcher. I'm joined with my mom and band director, Mr. Brockman. And if you're not familiar with the process of like getting into the All-State Band, you have to first try out at the district level. And we have about 7 districts in Missouri. So you go in, we look at the music around May or April. So you go in around November, first Saturday, and you try out. And there's 2 different ensembles you can make. There's the concert band and the honor band. And if you get into the honor band, you can then try out for All-State, where they take all the people at like the top level and they try out for this ensemble. And when you're there, you know, that's how you get in if you do good enough. And so then I ended up going there on December, the first Saturday in December, and I made it into that ensemble. And then I got to go to Tantera and around like the end of January and got to perform with a bunch of people, just like the children's choir. And like they said, there was a lot of people there, a lot of talented musicians. It was honestly just a really fun experience. I got to network with people and meet new people, meet people I met in previous years at state and district. And it was just a really fun experience.
From the magnitude standpoint, how many people get to have the opportunity just to try out across the state, and then how many actually get accepted?
I mean, it's basically like any high school, like as long as if you can make it past all district into the all state level, it's basically like any high school really in Missouri. So take all the high schools in Missouri and all their top players, and that's basically what the audition looks like.
Nathan, what chair were you this year?
This year I was first chair in the concert band. But there's actually 2 ensembles, the orchestra and concert band, and last year I played in the orchestra.
So that means the #1 tuba.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Big deal.
Very good. Mr. Brockman, anything you'd like to add?
Nathan is really, really good about underselling himself. It is to make the All-State Band, to piggyback on what Mr. Saxton was asking here. This is a tremendous undertaking. This is commitment, dedication. This is not a requirement of this program. They just do this on their own. So you've been studying privately on tuba for the whole time you've been in band, since 6th grade, 7th grade. So commitment to private lessons, growing on your own, doing what you need to do to be there. 2 years, making the all-state group one time is great. 2 years in a row. And as Susan pointed out, number one, that's a tremendous accomplishment. And Nathan, he really undersells it, but which is great. That speaks to awesome part of his character. But to answer your question further, that day there was over 1,500 people at Hickman High School in Columbia.
That's awesome.
So he really stepped up. So Nathan's we're going to miss him when he graduates in May. And also credit, I always want to point this out. I love embarrassing her, but his mother is tremendous supporter of this. And between not only Nathan and his brother, she has 5 times of all-state tuba players. And so credit to Kathy as well. So
That's where
Mr. Brockman, Nathan, please come through and we'll get a picture with you after we shake your hand.
Thanks.
Great job. Thanks for representing us.
Congrats, Nathan. I'll get out of your way.
Great job, brother. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Awesome job. Absolutely. Thank you for understanding the banks. We've helped. Incredible. Mr. Brock, congratulations.
Well, I think everyone's gotten the pattern to leave after they've been recognized. So that's good. Just a couple of quick updates. I did have the chance to meet with Superintendent's Advisory Council this month. Another great time to engage with them. Our January one got canceled. They were able to provide some insight to Mr. Hedgecorth, who's going to take that back to Mr. Moore and work with some other student groups as they look at what will be put on what will replace the stage, that wall, and put an emblem up there. So it was good to have student input, good for them to be able to talk and look through it. We have had 2 key communicator meetings. We were able to have our meeting out at Eagle and then also the middle school. The thing I'm as new to this, I always go in and tell, I think I told Todd Zerberger, this is the second time. So if I screw it up, just tell me. Rachel didn't tell me I screwed it up the first time, but just always appreciate the feedback we get. Would love to see a way. Todd, I think you shared you had the most people that you've ever had, but would love to continue to build those groups so we can get more and more interaction with our community. It's always great to hear. They have great questions, have great feedback, and I'm overwhelmed by just how much they say we support our schools. We are appreciative of everything that's going on. Please keep it up. We love the work you're doing. The only other piece I would share is our salary committees are hard at work. As some of you may know, Gavin actually represented our classified group. He has moved on from the district. Karen continues to serve as you're the secretary, correct, for that group, but they have Jenny, correct?
Jenny Fight.
Jenny Fight will be serving as that group's representative moving forward. They have another meeting coming up at the beginning of March. They've sent a survey out to their group, which has been great. We've had the opportunity to hear from the certified group, but it's been really good working collaboratively with both of those groups moving forward. And I'm excited to see what comes out as we learn more about our budget for next year. All I have at this time.
Any questions for Dr. Moss? I think everyone gets an additional cookie for all the steps we got in there. Thank you. All right. If there's nothing more for Dr. Moss, we'll move on to 9.3, Assistant Superintendent for Academic Services.
Thank you. Before I get into my agenda items, I would like to introduce our aspiring principals who are attending the board meeting this. So Tina and Brett, would you guys mind standing up? We won't make you shake hands or anything. This is Tina Shaginaw and Brett Marshall. They are both social studies teachers at the high school. And they are our two aspiring principals this year. And so if that is a new term to you, we've been doing this for about 5 years now, where we offer an opportunity for teachers who want to be principals to spend some time with our building leaders as well as district leaders to find out what administration really is all about. As part of that, they have some tasks they have to complete. They do some supervision. They lead a faculty meeting or a PD session. They attend a board meeting. They're going to come to a district administrators meeting in a couple months. And then they have a project. So they identify an issue that they feel like they could provide a solution to, and they create, go through the problem solving process and develop the way that they would like to solve that. And they're going to present that to you in May. Prior to our board meeting. So we're really excited to have them here. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Also off script a little bit, I left at your table a flyer for the Northland Workforce Development Center. I think I shared with you at a previous meeting that our foundation has pledged some of the funds that we get from the Warrior Card toward that. And we've made our first donation to them. I don't know who you know, but they are, once they get the 501c3 status, there are quite a few large corporations with some big donations coming in, but there's still a gap, and they're going to need some, not multi-million-dollar donations, but some smaller donations to help fill that. So if you know of anyone that any business, industry, organization that this would be important to them, I would encourage you to share. And if you need more of these, I'd be happy to give them to you. But I'm still looking to fill some financial holes there. And this is going to be an amazing opportunity for our students. Not only will they be able to expand the number of career pathways that they make available to our students, they will be able to take more of our students, and it will also be an opportunity for adult learning as well. So this is just a win-win-win across the board. So that's my little plug. If you know anybody who can help, please let them know. So on the agenda for tonight, I have our board recognition dinner and also the board student recognition programs. So wondering if you had any feedback. I have heard some feedback that I will share, but I would like to hear from you first.
I have heard that a lot of people liked how we tied it to our portrait of a warrior. They felt like they knew what their kid was getting. And there's a lot of parents that have said, I didn't know that about my kid. Or, my kid maybe is not smart in math and wouldn't have got one of those awards, but this is my kid. So I like how we did that.
I like how we went to them.
Yeah,
And
that was good.
That was nice to see, because then a lot of their peers got to see them recognized for the great work that they're doing. So I love that addition.
Awesome.
And the middle school had a great parent turnout.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, Todd invited the parents to come as well. So that was neat. And you were kind of surprised at the number that came, weren't you?
I was.
Standing room only.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. I had heard the same feedback, that it made more sense to them why their child was getting recognized when we tied it to the portrait of a graduate. I think that was a good move. Any feedback on the dinner?
I'm glad we did it. I thought it was, the people that I honored were very appreciative for getting to go, and it was so great to see the wide variety of people that were chosen to be honored. So I'd say continue to do it.
Yeah, I thought that dinner was great. Whatever we can do to get better next year.
Maybe a little more time. It felt very rushed.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think we were able to get through each of the elementaries in about 20 minutes. So as I've kind of created a skeleton of what this might look like for next year, I've actually pushed it back to 30 instead of 6:15. So that would get 15 extra minutes. So very good. Any other feedback related to the dinner?
Some of the feedback from the middle school, some parents at the MSPG group was with these awards, finding that balance between, data driven awards, and maybe Todd can share if he was there, any other insight, and also some of these other awards like character based, or, finding that balance between both sets of recognitions. Okay.
That be what you-
The overall, the maybe we have a way to recognize the. Maybe if we had a way to recognize like the top 5 or 10% in each of the academic core areas and use data to support that, so it's more objective. And I know in the past when we do our end of the year awards at the middle school, they do that. Our subject areas do the top 10 in social studies, the top 10 in science, but maybe we could have tied that into the award ceremony that we had in February. It was the first time we've done it that way. We can learn, we can do better. And that was good feedback for us, and that I can take back to our staff and say, let's do both. And then maybe not wait till the end of the year to recognize our top 10%. Do it at that assembly where it was so well attended.
Yeah, that's a
So,
great idea.
yeah.
Thanks, Todd. Sorry.
No, that's all right. It was excellent feedback. So thank you, Whitney.
And with the elementaries, it seemed like there was quite a few for one elementary and not so much for another elementary. Are we trying to get consistency across the board there?
The email that went out to every building was to think of 2 or 3 students in your class that you could nominate. So everyone was invited to nominate 2 to 3 students.
But am I wrong? I just felt like there was like,
No, I think you're right.
okay, all right. I just want to make sure that we're trying to do it the same across the board for all schools.
Everyone had the same invitation, but perhaps we need to do some follow-up to make sure that, yeah, so that it's more evenly represented from each building. Anything else related to that? Friday, we had our last PD day of the year. We had, when we met early February and discussed the assessment data, one of the things I talked about was competency-based learning and specifically proficiency scales, and how that will help us fill some gaps that we have as far as how we're addressing our curriculum to make sure it's more consistent across all the buildings. So we had a gentleman by the name of Patrick Hardy who came and he met with our secondary folks in the morning and our elementary in the afternoon, but he did kind of an overview of what that looks like, tying it to the work that we've been doing for several years on developing assessment capable learners. So he did an amazing job, very well received by the staff. I've had a lot of positive feedback. There's a survey that they asked we distribute for him, and I sent that on Monday. So when we get those results, I'll be sure to share those in a Friday update. But I think he did a really great job of laying the foundation for the work that we want to do next year. And I'll let the principals, if you guys have anything that you want to add to that. Not to put you on the spot or anything. Nothing to add. Okay, very good. So yeah, very exciting. We had Tracy Platt and Jamie Grayson from POAC came and just did an overview again of the work that they do with our students and let our teachers experience some of the activities that our kids experience. And then each building also had its opportunity to have 3 hours that was dedicated to what is important to them. And so I'm very excited as we look at the calendar for next year to have more days like that built into our calendar. And excited about the work that we'll be able to do with that time. And the last thing that I have, just to put it on your radar, is that the Excellence in Education Banquet will be May 1st this year. It's typically the last week of April. It's been pushed back to May 1st. We just sent in all of our nominations, and I'm not sure that our building leaders have shared with all of the people who are being recognized, so I'm not going to name them right now. I will put it in the Friday update for you. And then also provide some more details related to times and such for that. But if you want to attend that, let Karen know and we'll get you on the list. It's a wonderful evening of How are those celebration. nominations done? Yeah, so each building gets to nominate a teacher and also a support staff of some sort. And so, I mean, that's a variety of people. It could be a nurse, it could be a behavior interventionist, it could be an assistant principal or a principal. And then typically they have their staff do some kind of nominations and voting on it. So yeah, everyone has an opportunity to nominate you. And
Is there a business too that gets not?
it used to be, they've changed the format somewhat, and that we used to have a volunteer that we could recognize and also business, and they've done away with that this year. So it will be a little bit different. I think they're trying to simplify things for the people who choose the award winners. In the past, there have been 3 different documents that we've submitted for each nominee. A letter from a parent, something from a student, something from a staff member. This year, they've whittled it down to a 750-word statement that we were able to submit on behalf of each of our nominees. I think that's just to make it easier for the committee. If you think about every single school in the county providing nominees, 2 nominees each, yeah, that's a lot to read through. So they're trying to make it simpler, and part of that was to eliminate the business partner and volunteer. So, unless you have any other questions for me, that's all I've got.
Any additional questions for Dr. Catterfield? All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, 9.4, Executive Director of Support Services.
All right, thanks, Mr. Blumker. I'd like to share some progress that we've made on construction. And in your agenda, you should see this construction project picture, but this is a week old. So I'm going to show you some progress that was made today that was exciting. Unfortunately, the month of January was a tough month for construction. Record cold temperatures, moisture, and then trying to get that site to dry out during that time took its toll on our schedule. And so the good news is, as you look through the extended forecast, and today was just a beautiful day. Not a lot of moisture, warmer weather. And so we are hopeful that moving forward, we're able to really catch up on some progress. So you can see that they delivered the steel to the transportation facility building that is sitting right now at Horizon, because they're trying to get the building pad and the bus lot pad poured. And the middle picture shows them doing some proof roll testing to make sure that the moisture levels are right before they can put down that AB3 and pour that concrete. And then the picture that is exciting from today is we finally got some progress of actually pouring that foundation for that bus parking lot. So what you see there is basically a picture from 92 looking back towards the site. And you can see that we actually got some concrete on site and got some things poured. So that's a long time coming. And we were hoping to do this around mid-January. So we are about a month behind on schedule right now. Jay Dunn and our other partners are confident that they can make a lot of that time up with good weather. There are some weather days built into the schedule anyway. And so if they can catch up on some of those days and we have good weather from out here, we're hopeful we can catch up. Our date we would like to be able to move into the building is July 15th. Right now, they're looking at the first week of August as the completion date. If we do nothing but the regular schedule. So there are some things we can do. We can pay some overtime and look at some things like that, but we felt like it'd be premature to want to do something like that. So we're continuing with the great weather days we have, continue on that schedule and see how much we can catch up before any decision like that would be made or asked of the board. So just wanted to keep you updated on the transportation facility. As you might have noticed, if you drove by the middle school today, you saw some heavy equipment and machinery out back. And so they are starting the process to remove a lot of the dirt where they will put down that synthetic turf for the middle school field. So they're doing some surveying the other day, got the equipment on site. And so you should see some progress of them moving dirt off that and crowning that the way it needs to be for them to put down the sub layers for that turf going forward. So that project is slated to be done around the second week of July is what that's looking like. So they are right on schedule there. And then the other 2 projects we have VAV at the middle school and Horizon. And so they are continually to fine tune what that project looks like. I believe they will have that bid before the next board meeting. So we would have results of that bid day for you guys to look at the March board meeting. If something happens in the meantime, I would let you know in a Friday update, but that's the way the schedule looks right now for something, look at the March board meeting for that last bid day that we would have for this bond project. And then last but not least, our high school gym. We met with a lot of stakeholders the other day at the high school, just to kind of go over the process of what's being demolished, what areas are being worked on. We are going to start on that project on the second week of May. So I've worked with Darren Schaefer and Scott Moore to make sure that that gym doesn't need to be used for anything else, because we want to hand that back over to the high school that third week of July, because that's when volleyball starts their season and starts their main practice. So the reason we're starting in May and not waiting till school ends is we want to be able to hand that back over to that group. And so that's exciting. And lots of fun things going on, lots of improvements around campus. And there is an update, construction update in your agenda or in the executive director agenda that shows kind of the progress. You'll notice that the transportation facility did go yellow when it came to schedule because of that rough winter we had in January. So I'll be happy to answer any questions about construction.
So should we not be proactive right now, given that we are behind and we have amazing weather? Like, should we not, so that we don't find ourselves in a bad position?
Sure. So they are full steam ahead as much as they can do right now. For us to do more, we would have to pay overtime, which would mean allocating more budget towards a project. And so let's say, for example, when they built the Gantt chart and built in that schedule, there's weather days for miss. Let's say we don't have to miss those weather days and they're able to catch up naturally. We wouldn't want to pull the trigger too early to release overtime and then realize we didn't need to in the end.
Okay.
So we're waiting just a little bit to where we think, okay, it is at a point where we need to do overtime if we want to meet that date. So no, good question.
Additional questions for Mr. Hedgecourse?
And I have a second. That was just for construction. I did want to talk a couple things about finance real quick. So if there's no more questions on construction, oh, Scott has a question. Yes, Scott.
I don't have a question. I'm not sure if I'm doing this correct. I don't know if I raised my hand, if I call somebody there. But I just wanted to be able to say thank you so much for coming over and meeting with us at the building. I was able to meet with some kids already, kind of about that space, and there's some excitement. But to piggyback what Dr. Moss was saying earlier, just we're working hard to get kids involved in some of this conversation too, about how we can use that space and what we want that space to look like. So I just want to say thanks for coming over the other day and updating me and Ms. Fight and our team. And we immediately took that information. And so we're on board. We're 100% behind. So don't let us slow it down. But thank you for coming over and diving into that and explaining some of the schematics with me too. So I just want to say I appreciated that. So thank you.
Of course, anytime. Thanks, Scott. All right. Just give a couple updates on finance. The first is our local effort or our personal property and real estate taxes. That is 60% of what we receive in our revenues. And want to let you know we're coming in a little bit behind of what we come in previous years. So what I mean by that is January is typically the month where we get the majority of the deposits from our counties, Clinton, Platte, and Clay. And so when I say a little bit behind, I'm talking, 100 to 150,000 behind of where we have previously. That is not a huge number. That's not a lot. That does not mean we won't receive those dollars later as delinquent taxes, which do come as a premium to us because we do get the penalties that people have to pay. But there was a high assessment jump and some people are just a little bit slower to pay their bill. And so it's nothing to worry about. But if that trend does continue, we would be just a little bit shy of where we estimated our local rep for the year. But that doesn't mean we won't see that in delinquent taxes maybe later this year or August, September of next fiscal year and just collect it then. So I'm confident that we will collect the money because if they don't, there are foreclosures and things like that would happen. So I just think people are just a little slower to pay because, maybe budget's a little tight right now, is a little bit more than they expected. And so just wanted to keep you guys aware of that. I'll keep you updated as we continue to get taxes and delinquent taxes coming in. And then second, the state has released more information about a Prop C supplemental payment. You'll remember last year we got about $100,000 in June, and they're starting to hint at a value that they will give supplemental this year. That's looking around $200,000 in supplemental Prop C payment because Prop C is your state sales tax. And so the economy has done really well. They've had high levels of whether it's, car sales, you name it, retail. And so the state's really healthy in their budget right now. So they're hinting at a number they'll get for supplemental payment. So I want to give you that update as well and be happy to answer any questions. And I think
I would say like those, am I correct that based on what you've shared with me, that becomes clearer and clearer
every month?
Those months, yes.
Correct. Every month they give an update of how much has been collected and then how that divides out with the schools and what each schools get. So it'll be more of a certainty each month that gets closer to June. Absolutely.
Additional questions from Mr. Hedgecourse on that one? All right, next item on the agenda, 10.1, general financial review.
I'd be happy to answer any questions. You'll notice that running balance sheet, no change from last month. But the Prop C is not factored in there. So as we feel more certain, I will insert that in there as a additional. And I did not insert anything on the local tax because we'll continue to monitor we might get a higher delinquent tax payment. That would equal that out. So right now I did not put either one of those two things, but just wanted to verbally let you know.
All right, if there are no questions for Mr. Hutchforth, we'll move on to 10.2 board committee updates. It's the monthly stare down and he's gonna give it. Should I just call it Mr. Jacoby, would you like to give the update?
Aisha, what did you have that? It's just a finance meeting update. We discussed deferred maintenance as far as what the next couple of years look like with regards to HVAC and roofing projects. And along with that, we also had a visit from Ms. Winterbore to discuss possible options that the teachers are contemplating for this upcoming year. I think it's a very positive conversation overall, and we have a couple options to look into, and I think it's been very constructive dialogue, and so look forward to narrowing down our options and making some decisions here in the near future. So that about it, Patrick and Stacey?
Yep. Yeah, we just basically dove into more of the options we discussed at the workshop. So had to look at the data a little bit harder and come up with some better options. And Julie had brought some more information on those topics for us to disseminate.
Yeah. The big topic item obviously is adding the retirement part. So that is all going to be vetted through over a couple different options over the next month or so. And the extra duty schedule is obviously going to be a pretty big undertaking by the teachers to kind of vet that out again and update it. So, yep. That's our update.
Any questions for the group?
When are we looking at like voting on the results of talking with Mrs. Winterbore and all of that? Or
I think we're going to be voting on 2 items tonight. They have a total of obviously 2 more other items outside of that to consider. That's the extra duty schedule and the retirement incentive.
So they'll be coming
yeah, those will be coming up. I would imagine we'll probably have a better understanding on the retirement side before we will the extra duty. I think it'll be staggered, to be quite honest. And they obviously still want to emphasize basis. They're, adding to the basis their priority. So
sure. Okay, thanks.
We'll also have the input from classified after their March meeting as well. I'm going to predict that their number 1 piece is going to be adding to the base as well. Karen, shake
All right, if there are no additional questions, we'll move on to new business 11.1, MSBA 2023D board policy revisions for the first of 3 readings. I'll open this for discussion.
I know Jeff and I were talking about this in that it's 3 readings, and the 3rd reading would fall on the meeting of our first meeting of our 2 new board members. So they would have to vote on something that is very complex, and it would be very hard to do that. So we didn't know, do we defer this a month so that they have the extra time to get into it, and then whatever questions we have can be dived in. Didn't know time-wise, do any of these need to be done in a certain time period?
that was going to be our question, my question at least tonight. So.
No, I don't think there's anything that needs to be. I think we can easily delay it. These all would mostly take place July 1 anyway. What I do want to be cognizant of, this may not be the last one. So we delayed this a month for us internally because we needed to get our admin input on this before we could bring it to you. So we're happy to delay it. I guess are what you guys thinking? We would go ahead and have the first reading. There's really nothing to do on it other than to acknowledge it. We'll keep it off of next month's and then potentially have a second reading in April and a final reading in May. Is that the pattern you're thinking, or was there something else?
No, that
I'm truly asking.
Yeah, we were just, at least, I hadn't talked to Susan before about it, but my question was, is like, when did we want to have this implemented? If the answer is by next school year, then we have a timeline. This is quite comprehensive, and there's a lot of gray area in the language here. And it looks like several of these hadn't been updated since 2019. And I do believe some of these topics were fairly discussed, not only in the schools, but also in our community. And I wonder if it's not, it would be worth it if we did bring in our community in some of these discussions, if we had the time to do that.
And just so people know, because
And
people
just
are like,
so that-
what are these policies that they're talking about? This is, everything from marijuana use, alcohol, drug testing. So, just,
So in summary,
Yeah.
when the Missouri Constitution was amended to include both medical and recreational marijuana, it then required our policies to be updated to do so. So I believe from a timeline perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, the goal would be by July 1st, so it could be included in the handbook for the upcoming school year. But this is everything from, students utilizing for medical purposes to having it on campus, staff's ability to use and not use. It's comprehensive. It's extremely complicated. Speaking from my work perspective, no one wants to be the leader in this in terms of the legal argument that's going to occur over this legislation, this constitutional amendment at some point. Which is where I think, how allowing our 2 new board members to join and have more than 3 hours to consume this before they have to vote on a third and final passage of it, I think is important to at least move that final passage on.
The only thing is why I say May, not June, is that whatever we bring, we will send back to MSBA to change, look at, give us any advice. So that gives us the opportunity to take whatever we would say in May, and give them time to do it so it is ready July 1, because that is not always you can't send in a bunch of changes because there's 500, or I don't know how many districts use MSBA policy, but several, and then to be immediately responsive. Just so you know, many of the things that are written in here, while they clarify a ton regarding marijuana is really the thing, and really THC, the active ingredient, you would find that most of our practices and procedures already are occurring that would take care of this. If we have someone that we assume is under influence, we have a procedure that we follow. That would not change based on these policies. So waiting is not a problem, but if we do want July 1, I would encourage us to do it in May. That opportunity for MSBA to give us any feedback in that month of June.
Does the creation of the student handbook factor into this timeline?
We could tweak it as we, yeah.
July 1.
But we do 3 readings, so we can pass the first reading tonight.
Okay.
And just to keep it on the schedule. But
we won't bring it next month.
There's quite a bit to digest here. So, and it's very tricky with the federal regulations versus state regulations. And
I would just caution not to change too much because there's been a lot of legal input into this policy, but certainly community input from folks, I think is definitely called for.
We'll bring it back in April.
So given that, I would entertain a motion to approve for the first reading, 11.1 MSBA policy 2023D.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? It's all available online. You're more than welcome to read it, and rather lengthy, and I would encourage diving into it because you're going to have some questions. If there are no further discussion, please vote. And your first meeting got just a little bit easier now. All right, right, motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda, 11.2, the 2024-2025 academic calendar.
Yeah, I've provided a summary of the calendar for you and then a couple of versions along with all the supporting documentation that the committee used in developing this draft. And unless you have any questions, I would ask you to approve it.
I'm just wondering if we need to add a red snow day in
Not jinx. You're not jinx.
Put it on the calendar.
Just put it in there?
Yep.
Oh, that is bold. Okay.
Well, I'll remember this, Mrs. Carlisle.
I already have my hotel book.
Do you really?
However many days in advance you can book it, that's when Miss Carlisle
That is
actually does it.
No, I think that this is going to be a good calendar for our staff. Again, it gives us collaboration time consistently. Even those teachers who don't always have time together, you know, I'm thinking about like Ketterman, for example, who was here with her kiddos. Her colleagues are in different buildings, so they're not always face to face. This gives them almost a monthly opportunity to be together and collaborate. It gives our staff some great work days that will be really, other than collaboration, will be their days. Those are not days that we do trainings or meetings. It's their day. It will give at least monthly a work day, a PD day, or a vacation day. So there will be lots of opportunities for our families to do things together over those long weekends. And then it provides the typical breaks that our folks are accustomed to. And you will notice that we're not making up any snow days, so that will make them happy that we won't be coming to school on President's Day like we did this week. But yeah,
I have a
it's a good one.
I remember last year at one of the key communicator meetings, that big time, April, May, where there's no days off. Does this fix that problem by just having April 18th off?
Yeah, that will be a PD day for our staff and a day off for our kiddos.
Okay, so last year was that not?
We have one, I'm pretty sure we have.
This is the first
This
year.
is the first.
This is the first year.
Yeah.
With it.
So it was truly from spring break
all the way to the end.
Okay.
And realize sometimes spring break was the third week of March, not the fourth. So even longer hold at the end.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, please vote.
Is that you, Whitney? Second or Station?
Station.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull the video out.
Yeah, red fighting, no vote.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda, 11.3, middle school gym floor refinish.
Yeah, so very similar to our high school gym floor, our middle school gym floor is past the time of refinishing the paint striping that you see. A little bit of background in the memo. After the building opened in 1992, around 1995, there was big water damage that leaked into that roof and damaged that floor. And so it was rebuilt at that time. That was the last time it was refinished in the middle school. And so very similar to the way you see the gym floor at the high school. The middle school is wanting to redo that gym floor and change the branding that we have on that floor. That floor has the old branding for Smithville, and the new logo is at the very bottom of the memo that you have that shows. I'll go ahead and just share my screen real quick so you guys can see it. Looks like Randy brought that up. So thank you, Randy. And so Randy's bringing that up right now. And so at the very bottom, you will see the image of what that floor looked like. The main difference between the high school floor and the middle school floor is at that 3/4 court, you see SMS instead of the Warriors. And then the middle court has the arrow for that logo as well. And so that's the main two changes, but it will be water-based. So we'll have that light finish like you see at the high school. And the middle school has done a ton of improvements. You know, Todd has really spearheaded, you know, a lot of paint this last summer in there. You know, the mezzanine area has been redone. I know you've done some work in the locker rooms as well. And so this will be that last step to really refreshing that middle school gym area. The last time we did the high school, you know, it was talked about the next step would be to do the middle school. And then now I'm bringing you to that next step. And so the bids that you see there were 3 different bids: Lubert Floors,
is the one that won that bid, and that money was built into our capital projects budget for this year. And so we estimated around that amount for this project. So that is not above and beyond anything that wasn't already planned for our capital project. So.
And just to point out, this is separate from any of the bond project.
That is correct.
Budgeted.
That is correct. Yeah,
This is Fund 4.
it is correct. Yeah.
From a design perspective, do we have a set font that is consistent? Because I
We
feel like
do.
we have quite a few.
We do have a set font,
do have
and that does follow it. The program they use didn't have that font, but within the description, the contractor does know what that font is, and then they will give us a proof that we sign off of before they do anything.
Okay.
And so we'll
that's
have that
not-
finalized
okay.
front.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Well, they do that with color as well, Robert.
They will. Yeah, we have a actual
yeah, great.
You.
Yeah.
of what our green is, and it will match that.
You know,
Absolutely.
6T40.
Yes.
It's not that.
It's gonna be purple.
It's not that, but she can tell you it right now because I've used it before. Can't you? What is it? Yes.
There we go.
Love it.
They're
Consistency of branding is important.
those are all service mark. That's something you guys actually approved at the beginning of this year, was continuing to extend some service marks on some of those logos to keep that consistency as well. So
So what are we gonna do? It just goes away. Do we rip up, you know how the other one?
It's refinish.
you just say
Sand it all the way down.
Refinish.
That's refinish.
Yeah,
It's not-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Not replacing the actual wood, just sanding it all
Yeah.
the way down
That's
and painting.
That's what I was getting ready to say was, it's not available for access.
I know, that's it's surplus.
And I think there's someone's father who will fight you for it too.
yeah, it's very partial to that floor.
Yeah.
Does he know?
So we walked into the floor on Sunday night after the hot water heater broke.
Oh.
That's what flooded it. From one of I don't know which locker room, but from the locker room or the storage room, that's what flooded it. It was all buckled, water everywhere.
Oh.
3-year-old floor got
Yeah.
completely ruined.
Yeah. One thing to note, I forgot to mention, Horizon does have some water damage on the sideline area next to the wall. Part of that bid is to repair that Horizon area as well. That was about $4,800 of that for the Horizon part.
Any additional questions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve this item as presented.
So much.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, please vote. All right, motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda, supplemental pay A and B for February. And Mrs. Carlisle will be abstaining for this vote as she has a relative on this agenda item. With that, I entertain a motion to approve this agenda item as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
If there's no further discussion, please vote. Motion carries 6-0 with Mrs. Carlisle abstaining. Thank you all very much.
At first thought she voted no, by the way. I'm like, you can't vote.
No, let's not go there.
Yeah.
Not go
Yeah.
Next on the agenda, 11.5, certified salary, initial compensation steps.
As we'll say Julie, as rep from the Certified Salary Committee shared last month, the idea of, as we focus on our attract, retain, and grow our staff, an initial step for not only attracting new staff, but also retaining our current staff, which is removing columns A and C from our certified salary schedule. So column A would now be column B, would be our first column. So our starting pay would change. And then C would move away and we would go straight from bachelor's, master's plus 16 to or bachelor's plus 16 to master's would be the 3. One of the questions that was asked, well, what about that person that's in column A? Let's say someone's in column A3. right now. Please know that person would be moved to what is column B right now, but moved up a step, assuming that the district approved rolling the salary schedule as well. So it would move from A3 to what is B4, but would become that A4 cell. So everyone would move over with both years of service and up the salary schedule, which both committees would tell you rolling the schedule is the most basic thing that we need to do. So that is the first. The other would be extending from masters beyond to year 26. So that adds years. We have currently 19 people on our certified schedule that are stuck at that. So it's over 10% of our certified staff are maxed out. So adding them would allow them to continue to go each year. It is not a taking the current amount and extending it. It is putting new money into that. The cost for both of those is just under $80,000. The adding the years is $42,265. The collapsing A and C would be $37,377. I did not put that in the memo that was shared last month. Just want to make sure those were in there. So those are the two considerations as we go out to recruit teachers and as we look at retaining our current teachers, what we'd like you to consider this evening. Did I miss anything, Kim?
I think these are excellent recommendations. So more positive steps forward for us.
Can I ask one question? Were some of those steps supposed to have 27 on them?
I think we go 26 this year and then 27 next
Okay.
year.
Keep going year after year. Yes.
And that does change the cell that we reference to for base rates, right? To would move to C10.
Right now, I believe it's E10.
Yeah, it's E10 now and on the.
So it moved to C10. I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's very clear that this is a high priority for the board and the district, and this represents that. So with that, I entertain a motion to approve the recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, please vote. Fantastic work. Thank you all. Now to my favorite one, 12.1.
Miscellaneous.
Entertain motion to.
And now he has the new record. I would like to point out.
Yeah.
We have 30 minutes of student recognition. That's the
That's how it
greatest,
should be.
greatest thing.
Yeah,
we
this
do,
is
right.
good.
Student and staff recognition.
I like that.
Our aspiring
Wait a second.
principals to thank you all of our teams. So.
Second.
I was gonna drag this down.
They did it.
Oh,
Oh,
you did it
those two
already?
did it. We're
We,
good.
we have a motion and a second. If there's no further
Now we can
discussion,
Party.
please vote.
Yay,
I heard
team.
persons.
Woohoo. That's gonna be shocked.
I'm not going somewhere.
Wait.
That's like they're still awake.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.